May the words of my mouth and the meditations of all our hearts be acceptable in your sight, O Lord, our rock and our redeemer. Amen. Please be seated. So today we start a new chunk of time of celebrating ordinary time, as I said with the kids. There's one other thing about ordinary time that we don't usually talk about or even think about. But it comes up every once in a while when somebody asks me about the readings and about why suddenly the readings don't really work together. When you're trying to prepare to say something about them. When you're in one of those festive seasons, or not so festive seasons like Lent, the readings are all related. They're chosen because they all fit a theme. But typically in ordinary time, they don't. In ordinary time, we have what is called semi-contiguous, which means that the Old Testament reading comes shortly after last week's Old Testament reading. The New Testament reading comes shortly after last week's New Testament reading. And the Gospel comes shortly after last week's Gospel. This is the beginning of a chunk of ordinary time, so they're not really following anything, but they don't exactly fit together. The psalm is always chosen to fit with one or other of the readings. Now we're lucky today in that two of the readings kind of do fit together, even though not closely. But there are two of them that I can talk about in the same context. And those are the reading about the gifts of the Spirit and the wedding at Cana. And they very much have to do with what I was talking about with the kids about ordinary time, being a time to celebrate those things that we don't usually think about, that are just there, that happen every day, every week. Now, weddings don't happen every week. But meals do. And things do run out. And we all have gifts of the Spirit. Every single one of us. And we use them every day. Or at least we could. And we don't think of them as special. At least not our gifts. We look at other people and say, oh, they're so gifted. They can do that so much better than me. And we don't think about the things that we do every day, over and over again, because they're what we do well. I'm sure all of you have something that you do very well. And think of it as just, it's what I do, not as something special. But that's what these readings are about today. That's what ordinary time is about. It's celebrating that which is a gift. It's very much a gift. But we've forgotten to think about it that way. So when we look at that list of the gifts of the Spirit, I know when I read it, I think, oh, wouldn't it be nice if I could do that? And I've met some people who do that, and it's just weird. I've never known anybody who's done that. And then I completely skip over the ones that are my own gift. That reading makes a real point there. That no single gift of the Spirit is better, more powerful, more special than any other gift of the Spirit. Some of them seem unusual to us, but that doesn't make them more special or a bigger gift. They all are of the same Spirit. They all glorify the same God. And we are all called to use those gifts that we have to celebrate them and to celebrate everyone else's gifts. those gifts tie into the wedding at Cana? It's in that very ordinariness where Jesus did not go to the wedding to use his gift. He went to the wedding to be a wedding guest. But it turned out that his gift was needed. He still didn't really want to do it. But his gift was needed, so he used it. He didn't call attention to himself for using it. In fact, he didn't want the bridegroom to know. He didn't even want the steward to know. It was the servants, those who nobody pays much attention to anyway, who carried out his command to fill the jugs and to take some to the steward. That's what using our gifts is about. That's what giving them back to God is about. Sometimes we're reluctant because we're just tired. Yes, I know this is the thing I'm good at, but can't somebody else do it? And also, yes, this is, I can do that, but, so what? It's nothing special. Well, it is special. When we give our gifts, when we're called on to use what we've been given, it is special. And no matter whether anybody notices or not, it's serving God to use what we've been given. To use them when we're tired or want to be doing something else. Is also an amazing response. And that's what Jesus did there. And it's not the only time Jesus was called on that way. The Syrophoenician woman also insisted that he use his gift to heal her daughter when he didn't want to. He wanted to get away and rest. But there was a need. It was his gift. He filled the need. Now, I'm not saying that we don't need our times of rest. That we don't get burnt out. That we shouldn't share the burden where possible. But this is more about those little things where it would just be easier to not do it. Where it would be easier to say, I don't need to do that, somebody else will. Where we're called on, as Jesus was called on, for a purpose other than what we thought we were there for, but that is within our gift. To celebrate that as a revelation that God knows what our gifts are, and that they are needed, and that they are special, and that we are special, each in our own way, and that no gift is more important or more special than any other gift.